Where do you draw the line between a pre-IEP meeting preparation, which the law allows, and predetermination before the meeting, which can get schools into hot water? Hello, special education strategist. I am your host, Wendy Taylor, and today we're taking a deeper dive into IEPs and predetermination. I'm a mom of three and have sat on both sides of the IEP table as a parent and a professional. The world of special education can seem overwhelming and scary, even for me, and I am a parent and I've had extensive special education training, but I've got you. It shouldn't be this hard. So in my solo episodes of the Special Education Strategist, I am here to break down the IEP process, help reduce the stress, and empower you and your child. At the IEP table, I've learned to improve outcomes, be informed, be prepared, and become a partner with the IEP team. If you're new to special education, feel like your child should be evaluated for special education, or just a curious learner, join me as we dive in and strategize and take your special education worries to wins. Back to predetermination. It's very important to be prepared for each IEP meeting, and coming together without the parents before the IEP meeting can be a key part of the preparation. IDEA, our federal law regulation, explicitly allows preparatory activities to develop a proposal or a response to a parent proposal that will be discussed at a later meeting. Examples of permissible topics of discussion at a pre-meeting might include sharing information about present levels of performance and the student's current progress. It can also include identifying potential problems that should or may be raised at the meeting, brainstorming possible solutions to those problems, and creating an agenda to help keep the IEP meeting team on track. So according to IDEA, our Individuals with Disability Education Act, predetermination refers to a situation where a decision is made about a child's education before the child's individualized education program or IEP meeting takes place. This is a violation of IDEA's requirement for collaborative process between parents and educators to develop an IEP that meets the unique needs of the child. The IDEA states that the IEP team, including parents, educators, and other professionals, must work together to develop the IEP based on the child's strengths and needs. A real-life example of predetermination at an IEP meeting could be when an educator or an administrator decides that a child should be placed in a certain educational program or receive a certain service without consulting the child's parents or the IEP team. For instance, a school administrator may decide that a child with a learning disability should be placed in a self-contained classroom without taking into account the child's individual strengths and needs, or without considering other options for meeting the child's educational goal. In this scenario, the administrator has predetermined that the child's educational placement without the input of the IEP team or the child's parents, which is a violation of IDEA. This can also lead to a breakdown in the collaborative process and can negatively impact the child's educational progress. To address the situation, the child's parents could bring up their concerns with the IEP team, request that the decision be revisited with input from all team members. If the issue cannot be resolved through the IEP process, the parents may consider seeking legal assistance to ensure that their child's rights are being protected. An example of a legal case that addressed the issue of predetermination in the IEP process is the case of Deal versus Hamilton County Board of Education. So in this case, the parents of a child with a disability claimed that the school district had predetermined their child's educational placement before the IEP meeting took place. And the parents argued that the school district had made up its mind about their child's placement and services before the IEP meeting and had failed to consider their input and concerns. The court found that the school district had indeed engaged in predetermination and had failed to provide the child with a free and appropriate public education or FAPE as required by IDEA. So the court held that the school district must provide the child with compensatory education to make up for lost educational opportunities resulting from the district's failure to provide that free and appropriate education. So this case highlights the importance of avoiding predetermination in the IEP process and ensuring that all team members, including parents, have the opportunity to provide input and participate in the development of the child's IEP. So when predetermination occurs, it can negatively impact the child's education and can result in legal action against the school district. So courts have also found evidence of predetermination when a school has an unofficial policy of refusing to provide certain programs and services. I've had parents say to me, oh, well, they said they don't do that here. That doesn't work. Staff decides students' placement before the IEP team meeting without our parent input. School administrators make its determination before an IEP meeting, and school staff fails to incorporate the suggestions of the parents. And so I always like to say, when you have an IEP coming up, make sure that you go ahead and write your parent input statement. That way it goes on record, that way it goes in the IEP. Your concerns are noted, how you see strengths, how you see gaps are all noted in there, and what you would like for the student to accomplish within the next 6 months, the next year, and a couple years down the road. So it's all contained in the IEP, and that your information is put there forward. And then also you're going to receive an IEP draft. It is in draft form, meaning these are our suggestions, but then you're going to review that IEP as a parent, and you can respond in writing what your concerns are, your questions are for that IEP. That way everything has a paper trail. Let's talk about a couple myths versus facts when it comes to predetermination. So it is illegal to hold an IEP prep meeting, as mentioned at the start of this episode. Preparation is encouraged and expected. So predetermination violates the law, but teachers are allowed to discuss parental requests, recommendation, and data at an informal meeting. You just can't make any final decisions until the IEP team meeting and you have considered, again, the parents' input and suggestions. That's for a teacher. But this is also good for parents to understand that teachers and teams are gonna kind of come together and look at data and look at information, but they cannot make any decisions until that IEP team meeting. My second myth is developing a draft is predetermination. If a draft IEP is developed, the school district should solicit parent input before to create a draft IEP, clearly marked as draft, and provided in advance to parents if possible, and make it clear to parents and the IEP team that the IEP draft marks for proposals, review, and discussions. As a teacher, you want to make sure you back up any draft proposals with data, and during that IEP meeting, solicit input on the draft IEP, including any other suggestions from parents and IEP team members. Draft IEPs can be super valuable when you receive them as a parent in advance. It gives you that opportunity to read through, to ask questions, to add your data and your information. And it really then becomes this valuable discussion of back and forth of what is the best way to support your child. If I'm going to speak to the parents, I'm also going to pop this in there for the professionals. Here's 5 tips for professionals to avoid predetermination at an IEP meeting. Come prepared. Educators and professionals can come to the IEP meeting with an open mind and be prepared to discuss various options for meeting the child's educational needs. Again, this is an IEP, an individualized education plan. And some of our students, we really need to consider out-of-the-box solutions to ensure that they're really getting the support they need. Listen to parents. Parents are a critical part of the IEP team, and their input is essential. It's important to listen to their concerns and ideas and work collaboratively to develop the IEP that meets the child's needs. We want to also consider all options. The IEP team should consider all available options for meeting that child's needs. It includes exploring a range of services, accommodations, modifications that could be provided. And avoid making unilateral decisions. So the IEP team should make decisions collaboratively and avoid making decisions before the meeting takes place. So it's important to work together to develop a plan that meets, again, those unique individual needs of a student. And then we always want to document the process, keeping accurate records of the IEP process, including meetings and decisions made, can help ensure that everyone's on the same page and that the process is transparent and collaborative. And this can help avoid any misunderstandings and potential conflicts down the line. So if you feel that predetermination has taken place at your child's IEP meeting, there's a few steps that you can take to address the concerns. You can talk to the IEP team. The first step is to bring up your concerns with the IEP team. It's important to be specific about what you feel was predetermined and how it impacts your child's education. You also want to ask the team to reconsider their decision and to work collaboratively to develop an IEP that meets your child's individual needs. And again, sometimes that may be meeting in the middle and figuring out what works best between what the school can offer and what your child's needs are. So really it is a conversation to be had as a team. You can request an IEP review. If you're unable to reach an agreement with the IEP team, you can request a review of the IEP. This review can be conducted by an impartial third party, such as a mediator or due process hearing officer, who can help resolve any disagreements and ensure the IEP is developed in accordance with the law. You can also seek legal assistance. So if you're still unable to resolve your concerns, you may want to consider seeking legal assistance. An attorney who specializes in special education law can help you understand your rights and options and can be an advocate on your behalf. It's important to remember the IEP process is designed to be collaborative and to ensure that children with disabilities receive an appropriate education. If you feel that predetermination has taken place, it's important to take action to address your concerns and to ensure that your child's needs are being met. It's a lot of information to think about and to break down, but we always want to make sure that our child's, our baby, our students have this collaborative team that are working together to do their best to support our learners in and outside of the classroom so that they can have future education, independence, and employment. That brings me to my tip. You know your child best. If they are struggling, if they are thriving, if they are happy or losing hope, if they understand or if they completely lost. Sometimes we have that question of what now? If you're not sure what steps to take, learningessentialsedu.com has a quick quiz to help your child succeed and give you that starting point. After answering a few couple questions about your child, it will guide you towards the first step in helping your child be the best they can be. Again, I am your host, Wendy Taylor. I am obsessed with helping families and professionals bridge learning gaps, access special education services, and build killer IEPs. Thank you again for strategizing with me and spending your precious time listening. If you've loved what you've heard, share this episode with a friend and give us a like and a follow at Learning Essentials. If you need more special education support, visit Learning Essentials, where we provide individualized and systematic approach to supporting students with various learning needs and differences through academic coaching, educational therapy, and Brain Camp, our executive function support model. Need IEP coaching? I've got you covered. Visit learningessentialsedu.com for additional information. I hope this helps make it a great day. Bye for now.